الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله والله أكبر الله أكبر ولله الحمد. الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا وسبحان الله بكرة وأصيلا ولا إله إلا الله وحده. نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم. أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ذلك بأن الله هو الحق وأن ما يدعون من دونه هو الباطل. صدق الله العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الكريم ونحن على ذلك لمن الشاهدين والشاكرين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Respected ulama ikram, beloved and respected elders, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. On this beautiful morning, the first of Shawwaal, the day of Eid, on behalf of myself, the Imamat and the committee of the Masjid, Eid Mubarak. As we welcome the day of Eid, we can't but help remember the beautiful month of Ramadan that we have just left behind. And for many of us, as we always say, we will miss the month of Ramadan for the opportunities that it presented in our relationship and building our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But we must not forget that at the end of the month of Ramadan, our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not come to an end. Our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a renaissance. It's almost as we have an opportunity to have used what we gathered and gained through the month of Ramadan to revive our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have taken the time to make that extra stretch, especially in the last 10 days of Ramadan, where you spend time. For many, you were perhaps at the point where you said to yourself before the last 10 nights of Ramadan, you said to yourself, I will make a difference. I will wake up for tahajjud. I will wake up for salah in the night. I will make an effort for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then what happened was, you slept through. And tomorrow night you said, I will make an effort again. And then you slept through again. And then maybe the third night you woke up determined. And you, instead of making 10 rakats like you planned, or 8 rakats like you planned, you only made 2 rakats. And then sleep overtook you and you slept again. But you made this effort. Now the month of Ramadan has passed. It does not mean that your Qiyamul Layl will end. You will have an opportunity to wake up. And the best salah you can make is to call Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the time of the night while everybody else is. وَالنَّوْمُ نِيَامٌ. And the sleeping people are sleeping. And that is the time you decide to make your salah. You wake up and you cry to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at night. ذَلِكَ بِأَنَّ اللَّهَ هُوَ الْحَقِّ. That is because you know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the true reality. وَأَنَّ مَا يَدْعُونَ مِن دُونِهِ هُوَ الْبَاطِلِ. And you know that what they call besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is batil. Now take this ayah from the Quran. That it is because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the true reality, and that which they call upon other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is batil. Is batil, it is false. You acknowledge that in your takbir, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar. Allah is the greatest, Allah is the greatest, Allah is the greatest. La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar. There is no God but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah is the greatest. You acknowledge this. Now with that in mind, think of your brothers in Palestine. What are they going through? How will you celebrate Eid today? When you know that our Muslim brothers and sisters and children, it's beyond, even the kuffar have gotten to the point, there are people who have rejected Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and that have seen the reality of what is happening, and they are drawing closer to the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Alhamdulillah, I had the opportunity of traveling over the past few days, and if you see how the masajid are full, how many people have gone on Umrah, how many people around the world have started filling up, where are all these Muslims coming from? Where is this fervor? We think our iman is maybe weak, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not need our weak iman to keep this deen strong. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will look after this deen with or without us. We must choose, where do we want to be? This deen will always remain strong. How do you want your role to be written down in history? How do you want your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? You will come to an end. We will all come to an end. كل من عليها فان ويبقى وجه ربك ذو الجلال والإكرام. Everything on the face of this earth will perish. ويبقى وجه ربك ذو الجلال والإكرام. It is only the face of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ذو الجلال والإكرام, the possessor of splendor, of grandeur, that will remain. Everything will perish. How do you want to be remembered in your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? When you see the Muslims coming in their numbers, and you're wondering, where do they come from? And it's not only in other countries, in our countries as well. MashaAllah, the Goodwood community has been so blessed. There is a masjid, Qulub al-Mu'mineen. There is a masjid upstairs, they call it Knobs. I'm sure many of you know the masjid also. There is this masjid that has been established. This masjid saw a need to expand, and look around you. You wonder how the small masjid catered for all these people before. Where did all these people come from in this masjid today? Where? And you doubt the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? You doubt the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? When you hear the takbir being recited in unison all around the world, when you hear the takbir, the praise of Allah, does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala need me and you while there are malaika in the abundance praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala day and night? While there are malaika in the abundance sending salawat upon the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam day and night? That a new shift of malaika come to recite durood upon Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in the morning and in the evening. Their shift changes and a new set of malaika come to recite salawat upon our Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And the next morning, when they recite again, it is a completely new group of malaika that will recite salawat upon Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Those malaika get a chance, one shift, to recite salawat upon our Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, while you and I have the opportunity to recite salawat daily upon our Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, to make takbir of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala daily. This that we do on Eid morning, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, is acknowledging that we are on this for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we are on this for the sake of truth. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the understanding, inshaAllah. Brothers and respected elders, our brothers in Palestine that are going through the most difficult times that we have, their lives are an ibrah for us. Their lives are a lesson for us. Go to these countries and see. Asr time, the doors of the shops close. Everybody rushes to the masjid. Doesn't matter how many customers there are waiting. If it's Asr time, the adhan has gone, shop is closed. Business is closed. And they go through the difficulties that they go through. You are not going to be able to go there and stand and take a bullet in their place. First of all, you can't even get inside there. When these babies, to be this graphic, you must forgive me, but it's the reality on the ground. When you see the pictures of babies being massacred, when you see the images around you, and you will see it with your family, and on Eid day, people gather for Eid lunch, they will speak about it, they will message about it, and you will see these things. And you look helplessly at these images. And you wonder, what can you do about that situation? Wallahi, those people have become shaheed already. Those people have become shaheed already. And the Quran says about the shuhada, وَلَا تَقُولُوا لِمَنْ يُقْتَلُ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ أَمْوَاتٍ بَلْ أَحْيَاءٌ. But they are alive. وَلَا تَقُولُوا لِمَنْ يُقْتَلُ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ أَمْوَاتٍ. Do not say that those who have been slain in the path of Allah, that they are dead. Don't say it. وَلَكِنْ لَا تَشْعُرُونَ. بَلْ أَحْيَاءٌ وَلَكِنْ لَا تَشْعُرُونَ. But they are alive, but you cannot comprehend their life. In another verse of the Quran, وَلَا تَحْسَبَنَّ الَّذِينَ قُتِلُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ أَمْوَاتٍ بَلْ أَحْيَاءٌ عِنْدَ رَبِّهِمْ يُرْزَقُونَ. In another verse of the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, don't even think that those who have been slain in the path of Allah are dead. The one is don't say that they are dead. The other is don't even think that they are dead. بَلْ أَحْيَاءٌ عِنْدَ رَبِّهِمْ يُرْزَقُونَ. But they are alive, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is providing for them. This is the condition of a shaheed. So I ask you, when you speak about your brothers and sisters and children in Palestine, don't think that they are dead. Don't think that they are dead. They are with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are okay. As Asma, the daughter of Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala anha, when she met her son Abdullah ibn Zubayr, as he was about to go into war with Hajjaj bin Yusuf. I don't have time to elaborate too much on that particular story. Her son comes to hug her, and she is lost her sight by that time already. Asma lived till a very elderly age. She was the daughter of Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala anha. And she hugs her son as he's about to go into battle, and she feels the armor on his body, and she says, my son, what is this? This was the character of Sayyidina Asma radiallahu ta'ala anha. The same lady known as Dhul Naqatayn. She was the one who provided the preparations for Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam and her father to do the hijrah. She comes and she hugs the son and she feels the armor and she says, what is this, my son? Why have you got armor on? Do you fear death? He says, no, mother. I put the armor on only to comfort your heart. Only to comfort your heart, oh mother. She says, take this armor off. Your friends have been slain before this. What are you afraid of? The dead goat does not feel when it is being skinned. The dead goat does not feel when it's been skinned. This was the bravado, this was the character of our Muslims of the past. They sent their children out to fight for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they said, take your armor off so you can fight better. Now a mother will say, it's cold outside, put on your jersey. I'm not saying don't take care of your children, but think of the difference. Think of where we are. So those children that you see in pictures, those brothers and sisters you see in Palestine on pictures in Gaza that have given their lives, the ruh is gone. The dead goat does not know that it's been skinned. The question you need to ask yourself is, you are seeing that for what reason? Why is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bringing you time, bringing you a message? What is the ibrah? What is the lesson in it for you? Are they going to die in vain without having woken your heart? Are they going to die without any cause, without having stirred some kind of fervor and emotion in you, that you have a connection to build with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Brothers and respected elders, this is not simply about saying you're going to take this action or that action. This discussion we are having here very briefly, and we must end now because of time. This brief discussion is a reminder to myself and to everyone here that while we celebrate and enjoy the day of Eid, you are on the right side. You are on the right side because you are someone that Allah has blessed with Iman. You know, as the ayah I've recited in the beginning, you know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the truth, and everything else, everybody else is worshipping is falsehood. They can have their plan of the Temple Mount. They can have their plan about the red heifer that they want to slaughter. They can have their plans of what they want to do. You must be firm in your belief, and you must know that your Islam is the same Islam that was the Islam of Nabi Isa. It was the Islam of Nabi Musa. It was the Islam of Nabi Ismail. It was the Islam of Nabi Ishaq. It was the Islam of Nabi Yaqub. It was the Islam of Nabi Yusuf. It was the Islam of Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. This is the Islam of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. If you ask Nabi Musa today, was he a Jew? He will tell you, no, I don't know the term Jew. If you ask Nabi Isa if he was a Christian, he'll say, I don't know the term Christian. Nabi Musa will say, I don't know the term Jew. But if you ask him, were you Muslim? He'll tell you, Wallahi, I'm a Muslim because I submit my will to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You are on the haqq. You are on the haqq, and don't doubt the fact that you are on the haqq. Don't behave like you doubt. Don't wait for others to come from behind to see the light in the deen that is right in front of you every day. But others are coming from behind. They are joining the forces of this deen, and they are becoming the army of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. While you and I have been born with this deen, and we come and we are not even raising our hands to become part of the army of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You are on the haqq. Have confidence, have certainty, have knowledge that you are on the haqq. Follow this haqq, inshaAllah. Take a lesson from what is happening around you in the world. Wallahi, while we are engrossed in our worldly affairs, making money, driving flashy cars, boasting to one another, having fancy clothing, may Allah give us all the best of Rabbana atina fid dunya hasana wa fil akhirati hasana. Take nothing away from anybody that is working hard, but do not be unmindful of the fact that we are coming to the end of times, and you will be called upon, every one of you and every one of your children will be called upon to raise his hand, to volunteer, to stand up and to say, I am a Muslim, and I am prepared to give my life for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inna salati wa nusuki wa mahyaya wa mamati lillahi rabbil alameen. My sacrifice, my life and my death is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah wa Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar wa lillahi alhamd. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.